welcome to the first episode of the Golf Nuts podcast. We've got Patrick, Josh, I'm Brian. I'm going to read off today's run of show, and then we're going to dive in. You guys ready?
Ready? Let's do it.
Let's jump in, boys.
All right, so today we're going to talk about TGL, the Indoor Golf League, PGA and LIV's money wars, where they ended last year, YouTube Golf's explosion, how that's fitting into this whole world right now, Tiger potentially changing the Champions Tour, and what's going on in his world right now. It seems to be a hot button topic. And then we're going to wrap up with a hot take speed round. So, Patrick, you want to lead us off?
With the dome collapse?
Yeah.
Yeah, so November 2023, this was the first false start of the TGL League. It was a temporary power failure system that caused the dome of the SoFi Center down in Florida to deflate. A little over $2 million in damage was what it was estimated to be, but I think more damaging to what at the time was an early stage league that was kind of slapped together, probably not even kind of, just slapped together to compete or offset or counterbalance, whatever you want to call it, live. You know, was just kind of kneecapped from the get-go. Yeah. All things considered, tech inside, I think, was spared most of the damage, but the big play was just, it pushed back the starting season by a year.
Yeah. That was pretty huge. Yeah, pushing it back by a year gave LIV a little bit of room to breathe, but also probably gave TGL the opportunity to sort of rebuild, rebrand a few things that they were working on internally. Last year's season was really good, though. It started off kind of rocky. We didn't know what was happening. It's just like any startup. They're trying to find their, as you say, product market fit. You know, I tuned into a good amount of them. I actually recorded most of them. So my viewer experience was like almost that of YouTube, where I recorded them, played them back during work, tried to catch up on different moments rather than just tuning in live. You know, their deal with ESPN definitely helps. It was interesting though watching this because of the hosts. You know, they're definitely finding where they fit. But around mid-season, they kind of found that they changed some rules, right? Josh, you watched some of this as well.
Yeah, so the TGL, I mean, let's look at the good and bad here, boys. And so obviously Tiger's name, Roy's name, that some of the big guys that they have there is the draw to it. The one thing that I like about the TGL is you got guys like Xander, who you finally got to see a personality that I've never seen before when he's out on the course. And that's what I love about what we'll talk about later on with YouTube golf. But with the PGA Tour, frankly, it's just versus these other formats out there. The other formats are so much more compelling and entertaining to me to be able to understand who these guys are from a personality perspective that we've never gotten before. And I think that we started to do it when they mic'd up, what was it called when they had Tiger versus Phil and the big challenge, the match.
Yeah, the Capital One's the match, and now they've kind of switched that off of some of those guys, and they ran
a skins game over Thanksgiving this year,
which I missed. I actually have to go back and watch that online.
I was going to talk to you guys about that during the fast take later on, though. The skins game was such a failure. For the first time in 17 years, we bring
Bradley Whack $8 million.
It's
yeah,
wild.
but we bring it back for the first time in 17 years. Nobody knows who it is. I mean, I want to ask the audience here, please subscribe, comment on the side, because did y'all know about the skins game was happening? It launched at 9 a.m. Eastern time on Friday, the day after Thanksgiving, on Prime Television, on Amazon Prime. Nobody knew that it was happening. There was a zero marketing budget for it. And yes, if you knew that it was happening, it was a dull experience. I think that the host tried to do the best job keeping it alive, but nobody knew it was happening. It launched at 6 a.m. Western time.
I'll wind it back in because this is a really interesting topic. It does show all the different products that are being pulled around golf. You know, TGL, like I said, the Grass League is this par 3 high stakes type deal. YouTube's got their own, Internet Invitational, which has a couple $1 million on the line for those creators. And then, here we've got 18 million. I didn't even know it was that much for this skins game, this one-off deal. And TGL's prizes were pretty significant for first, second, and third. I think it was 20 million. I mean, clearly the prize draws the pros. The pros are supposed to draw the audience, but without marketing, it just doesn't show up. TGL did marketing extremely well. I will say that. They were everywhere.
Again, though, first time in 17 years to bring it back. The skins game should be an absolute juggernaut for everybody to tune in, just like a Cowboys playing on the Thanksgiving day. and yet I think it was an absolute failure this year.
Yeah.
I'm not going to dispute that. I mean, look, alternate formats, I think now that obviously with TGL, the PGA is kind of getting it together. They kind of jumped out of the gate at LIV and caught off guard. Have you guys read Phil, or I'm sorry, not Phil, Alan Ship a couple years ago, Live and Let Die, LIV, Live and Let Die? It was about the formation of the LIV League and all of the things that fell into place before and all of the whiffs from the tour to try that they could have done to nip it in the bud, or at least like bring something together and some sort of detente before it happened. Very good book. Back to TGL, it's kind of a mixed bag. Tiger was the most viewed match. I've got a couple of stats here. The highest rated match was peak viewership 1.05 million for Tiger Woods' debut at week 2 of TGL. Average viewership across season 1 was 513,000 viewers per match. There are 15 regular season matches. Total season audience 19.3 million. Ratings versus prior ESPN programming plus 21% over comparable time slots. So that's a positive too. Interestingly, median viewer age for TGL was 51.9 years. That's the second youngest among all major sports leagues, only behind the NBA. And then compared to the PGA Tour, TGL viewers are 14 years younger on average than PGA Tour broadcast.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. It's a completely different product, right? I think we're living this change in golf right now. It's not the sport is changing. It's not the competitive sport that's changing. And that's the foundation of all of these other products. These other products, honestly, I don't think they live without serious competition. Like the PGA Tour provides, a platform for people to strive to be the best in the world. It's got the history between all of these major tournaments, but these different products are starting to fill gaps in entertainment. PGA Tour event is a very different product than tuning into, a stadium that TGL is. Initially, I don't think the pros took it super seriously. They sat down, they were having fun with it. They said, "Why not? We're gonna walk away with some money, some teams. This is entertaining." I think mid-season, the competitive spirit of these guys, it just comes out, and you see them, like reeling on putts, chirping at each other a little bit, and like Josh said, like you get a little bit of the personalities that we're missing in golf today. That our dads and grandpas were like, man, no, these guys were characters back in the day. Like, what's happening now? They're robots, because they're trying to perform at the highest level, break records, and it's harder to win these tournaments in the PGA than it ever has been in the history of the game. So these products give you a different look at these players. Same with YouTube, right?
Right when yes, I agree with you. The 3-4 matches in, and that was, wouldn't you know, right when that started to happen, 3-4 matches in, then we started getting all the tech issues. Because frankly, you're not going to find a bigger Tiger Woods fan than you truly. But like, why were they not using TrackMan?
Yeah, no. So they should have used Foresight. I think Foresight's better, superior indoor. Although that space is very large, and TrackMan is awesome as well. I think they can dial in a TrackMan there. But they were using full swing monitors, and I know Tiger has an ownership stake, and they're partners on this. And look, that product could become a Foresight. I think it could become a TrackMan. They've just got a long way to go.
Not when you're flaming out on live TV and what's trying to become a so-called
From a
major
marketing
sports league.
Do you remember when Tiger, though, missed the green? He was like 82 yards out, and he missed the green by 30 yards, and everybody was watching it going, that doesn't happen. There was clearly a technical glitch there. That man is he's got the best hands, best wedge game of any player that's ever played this game.
Not to be confused with when Tiger like airmailed a green because Tom Kim told him a wrong number.
But that's fun. Like that's more of a fun thing. Look, going back to the technology side, Foresight is superior indoor camera systems. TrackMan is superior outdoor radar-based systems. Full Swing is coming in, and they have an opportunity to do this because they built a stage for themselves. But the technology was lacking last season. I'm sure this season we're going to get a look into what they've done to kind of button that up. But will they be able to take those product improvements and put it into something that the golfer is buying, the average golfer is taking home and using for their simulators? That's going to be a big question mark.
So the average consumer out there, the viewer that's happening, there are so many options out there right now, more than we've ever had before. Live, YouTube, TGL, PGA Tour. Right now, I think that we've got so many options. I'm looking at this from the long-term perspective. And frankly, I don't think the TGL makes it 5 years from now. I don't think that Live is going to be what Live is today 5 years from now.
Do we have a hot take here that he's going to, do we have to track this for the next couple of years?
I stand behind this. We will see a merger of the platforms come together. At the end of the day, the PGA Tour is Sears. The PGA Tour is Blockbuster, and it is dying and doesn't know that it's dying. And it is, you see, it missed out on great opportunities last year by not allowing Grant Horvath to film himself in the PGA Tour event that he was invited to come play as a
Hot
content
take.
creator. And because of that, that is showing it's too antiquated. The PGA Tour needs to come together and it needs to adapt with the times. I'm not saying that it's ever going to go away. PGA Tour will always be there. We're going to see right now it's wild, wild west out there. And here's where I'm going to go back to the stat that you said a minute ago, Patrick. You said there was what, 500,000 viewers per episode?
Average.
That's beautiful. And all right. So guys, last year we had a major milestone that happened in the PGA Tour. Rory McIlroy completes the Grand Slam. 12.7 million viewers chimed in to watch Rory McIlroy do that. This isn't a direct one-to-one comparison, but how many people watched the Internet Invitational a couple weeks ago?
I tuned into a decent amount of it.
Slightly different audience, and I understand the platforms are different, but 25 million people within the first week tuned in to watch that. So now you're already getting more than twice as many viewers to watch an Internet Invitational.
Yeah, actually, I have some of those numbers right here.
These guys have to adapt to the times.
Total views in the first 30 days were 1.5 to 4 million, depending on the episode. Because they released, I think, each episode every couple days.
This
and
is
there's
on
like
various different creators, platforms. You have to bring them all together, but
Yeah,
it's
so
over 25
Good
million
Good
views.
released, I think, the first one. Bob Does Sports released the second one. Brian Bros, I think they released another one.
Barstool.
Sports. This is the Barstool Sports guys. They owned it. You know, that's a whole different
did it in-
subject that we'll cover later. But
But they did it in partnership with Bob Does Sports, right?
it was
They
mainly
were
those
two.
two. That's right, I believe. I don't know the inner workings of it, but anyway, look, from a viewership standpoint, it was 10 to 20 times the ESPN levels of TGL.
Damn.
That's what this said.
So where do the marketing dollars go from here? And it's not TGL. And think about how much TGL is paying right now versus for me, who's already won? You'll have to think about it from this perspective. YouTube has already won the battle because they pay $0 for their content.
I would
And
argue the
creators are
golf
ones-
fans won.
The platform, if you're speaking about the platform, yeah, obviously the platform that's the
Costs
whole design
millions
of
of
their business
dollars.
model.
For Live, how much money did the PGA Tour lose last year?
140 million versus Live was what? Like
$1.1 billion.
1.1
Losses.
billion.
How much did
Yeah.
YouTube lose last year in creating golf content?
Now, wait, I want to point something else out. I mean, that's an interesting number. I mean, some people have heard the whole growth of Amazon and other companies and how that's a designed business model. You want to report a loss, you want to build the way the balance sheet is functioning so that the profit margin gets recycled back into the product itself. I'm not saying that that's what Live is doing or that that's what PG is doing, but I don't think we have full visibility into what those numbers actually mean.
But those are still real numbers that those organizations are having to pay out. And again, YouTube's not having to pay any of it. And that's where, as we move forward in the future, there has to be a congruence of these leads coming together.
We're on the topic of numbers of money of is this profitable? Is it going to last? And here we just heard us a couple of crazy hot takes from Josh. So I think
I don't think it's that crazy. I tend to agree that TGL is not going to be around in 5 years, and here's why. It's a convergence of a few different things. One, Tiger's going to be done. Maybe he's making the major circuit and he's coming out to Augusta every year. I hear that.
it's his product. Does he not show up?
He's already committed to show up for links matches, even if he's not playing. He's committed to come this season. Tiger walking in the door maybe gets you half another season worth of your average viewership. So you got the Tiger factor, sunsetting. And going back to the shitty technology, guys, TGL was supposedly engineered to draw in gamblers. And how can you bet on something that Tommy Fleetwood, who's one of the world's best ball strikers, is going to leave a wedge that he could usually hit outside with his eyes closed, 30 yards short of a green?
I think he actually did do it with his eyes closed on YouTube. I think that was like an actual thing.
So I'm watching these guys hit into a screen. If I want to go do that, I'll go to the hell. I'd rather go to Top Golf and go watch players hit into Top Golf. I just don't like the format. It doesn't make any sense to me, and it's too artificially manufactured when you see the way that they're interacting. I think there's something about being when I chime into the Masters every year, it's to watch how the course also looks. Think about number 16 at the Masters. Think about the par 3 contest. It's always perfect, the viewership. So even if you're an amateur, uh, a casual fan watching the sport, periodically you get to see the landscape. We were watching before we started this, a little bit of the guys that were playing on YouTube playing in the Bahamas, and you could see it all in the background. I don't wanna watch these guys hit into a screen.
I think the main difference between some of these products, when you look at YouTube, you're following like shot for shot. You're hearing them talk to each other, chirp. I mean, it's a very intimate product in that way. And you get to follow that whole match if you want to. On the PGA Tour, you know, obviously the broadcast, you're jumping around between 125, 150 of the best players in the world until the cut happens. And, you know, you're getting highlights. This putt fell, that putt fell, that putt fell, you know, a couple holes in one here and there, some wild, you know, shots into par fives, but it's very disconnected, right?
That you lose the drama when you watch a tournament in real time versus for me, if I'm watching YouTube, I'm plugged in the whole time. I get to see the filming within the cart in between shots. I get to see them chirp at each other while they're playing around. Phil
And that's
Mickelson comes
where
in and he's changing up the yardage on somebody's shenanigans happen, but these guys are also friends. It's a and it's yes,
But there's nothing
it's an
see, that's not
engineered drama.
competition. Those are friendly competitions for pride, maybe for a couple bucks or something like that.
Here's a hot
It's
take for you.
Yeah.
Albeit not one that says that TGL will survive beyond 5 years, because I think I would not bet against that. Tiger doesn't play this year. Tiger's not going to have the stamina if he wants to play actual majors next year. He's not going to have the stamina to do TGL in the offseason. They bring in Bryson. They give him a team. That's the beginning of the reunification.
You think that Liv would
I mean,
allow Bryson to
now
come
we're
in?
talking predictions, and that is quite a prediction to throw down.
I think after another full year where they're losing billions of dollars, think that Yasser is going to be compelled to eventually come to the table and stop lighting money on fire.
So again, we've already talked about my hot take. At the end of the day, I don't think TGL survives. I don't think Liv survives, but I think that there's something where we're
Do you
going
guys
to
know
pull
when the
from
first
all
match is?
these.
TGL? I couldn't tell you. It's
But
coming up though, right?
But at the
December
same
28th. December 28th.
It's a couple weeks.
so we are all three avid golfing fans here. If Bryson is not on Liv and leaves, if Tiger's not on the PGA Tour anymore, because he might start playing some champions tournaments. Where does the viewership go, and how much money then does Liv start losing, and how much money does PGA?
All I'm saying is I think that there's a path. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm saying there's a path for, hey, behind the scenes and back channeling to say, hey, we need to start bringing this together, and
Where do we do it? How do we do
don't
it?
want to completely just come hat in hand and lose face. Okay, here's what we're going to do. Phase one, Bryson brings over a team of live guys to inject some energy into TGL, which is going to be a dying product by then. And then obviously the TGL PGA. Is TGL also an SSG Strategic Sports Group?
I'm going to look that up while you're talking here.
I'm just saying that could be a path. Step one, you have Bryson and some live guys come, maybe not the controversial ones, but some live guys come to play, and they have a TGL team for a season. And maybe at the end of that year, they come and play Tigers tournament, Hero. And then things start to cool off and come together from there. I don't know.
Does this all break when you can start getting world ranking points from all the various leagues?
I don't think you're ever going to get world ranking points, anything professional tours.
But LIV,
Asian Tour, World Tour, PGA Tour. LIV's been trying to get it. We all
that's
know
what I'm
that.
saying. When does LIV and PGA stop the fight and let LIV?
I think that's why the beginning of the end has already started for it.
They're thinking about going into 72 hole four, 4 rounds to try to get qualification for it. I think it's just going to be one thing after another. It's sort of like when you're building a company and you're trying to raise money. The people you're raising from, they say, "Well, we want to see you have customers first." Okay, you go get customers, and then the goalpost moves. They say, "Well, we need to see you have 100, 200 grand in revenue, $1 million in revenue." Then the goalpost moves. And it's like, are they actually going to invest? Are they actually going to give them world ranking points?
Look, the players on LIV are some of the best in the world. But
Are
are
the
the
Or used to
players
be.
that are on LIV, are they becoming worse players overall in that format than being on the PGA Tour playing the 72 holes?
Yes, they are not being tested in the same way. The shorter, 54 hole format also reduces the amount of endurance they have when they come back to a major event. They still can play.
They're also not getting those courses running as
Yeah.
to this. I think there's a lot of variables.
They're flying all over the world and their bodies have to adjust. When the PGA Tour runs different, they run different swings, like the West Coast swing. You get everybody over to the West Coast, their bodies adjust, you can get on the time zone. Imagine flying in from Asia and then playing in Dallas and, saying, "Oh,
Playing
I'm
Monday, Tuesday practice round. Never mind partying.
Yeah.
But you also have the guys like Brooks Koepka, who in 2018, 2019 was on a world record pace. And then he goes to LIV, and his own quote this last year was he worked himself off the team for the Ryder Cup. He knows that he's not good enough to be on the team right now.
So went to
and I
live.
think
Thought
the
his
re-
career was over.
But did that happen from the format of LIV, or did that happen from him getting complacent and not pushing himself the way that he was before being on the PGA Tour?
I think
That's
but then
the
you're
rabbit hole,
talking
right?
about like motivation and money and
Yeah.
You give somebody what did he sign for? 150 million up front?
I don't know.
I don't remember.
We'll look it up. But look, TGL and their relationship to Strategic Sports Group or PGA. So here's what I've found out. TGL was launched in partnership with the PGA Tour. So it's a co-branded product.
Over
Okay.
100 million, by the way, was the Brooks Koepka number.
Over 100. So TGL remains a separate league and entity run by Tomorrow Sports in its own ownership structure and investors. It's not structurally identical to the PGA Tour ownership. And in fact, the team structure that they brought into this has their own ownerships of each team. So you've had these the guy that owns Home Depot came in and is the owner or lead of a team. You had the good
Serena
sports
Williams.
guys came in and bought a part of a team. So there's their own different segments, which is very similar to LIV and how LIV has their own team structures, their own brands. They sell their own merchandise for each team. They have different ownership structures within each team. So I think you get some parity there. People have always been asking about team sports for golf. We all love the Ryder Cup. You know what I mean? It brings a different
For the
interaction.
American team at Bethpage, you don't love the Ryder Cup.
Ian
You don't
Poulter-
even try to get ready for the Ryder Cup.
Ian Poulter was talking about the other day when he was doing the Bryan Brothers video. He said the two most memorable shots in his career both happened to be Ryder Cups.
He was also a Ryder Cup Terminator.
So Tiger and his involvement in TGL is critical. We all know that.
Yeah, so without him, I think the writing's on the wall. We've all discussed.
Your take here is that he may not even come into this season at all, and that's possible. He could pull up the fifth player in their team to replace him.
But it's going to be fascinating to see how many of those 500,000 viewers per episode fall off this year at season 2.
It's an interesting structure, right? So they're releasing 3 matches before the 4th match being a Tiger match. So you're going to have a little warm up period, and I think the viewership's going to be lower on 1. It's going to climb on 2. By the time you get to the 4th episode, 4th, tournament with Tiger, you might get peak viewership. And I'm guessing then it'll just fluctuate till the end, and we'll see if playoffs generate even more buzz. But I think that also depends on who's in the playoff. Like, does Tiger get in the playoff? Okay, backing out of PGL, the last thing I want to point out is the technology is interesting. There's a lot of controversy around courses. I love that you can create some really wild choices in the golfer's mind. And it's very evident to new players or new audience members that aren't familiar with how to navigate the course or course management. So this is really interesting because it gamifies that a little bit. And you have like famous course architects like Gil Hans that is designing some holes for this. Which what is that guy going to design for? Like an
For a
online.
metaverse golf course
What is this guy's brain going to create? He's created some of the best courses in the world.
in a different world, TGL back at like peak metaverse hype, maybe could have been something.
I think that if it was still COVID times when we saw so many guys building out their own indoor golf simulators and those aspects, we were all confined to our own home. Imagine then if you play the same things that are on TGL.
You mentioned Ryder Cup. This is funny because Boston Common, that's led by Rory, also has Keegan Bradley on it.
Yeah.
So when you're thinking about like Ryder Cup and like what's that inner team dynamic look like there?
You think that Harris English still has nightmares from the way he played during the Ryder Cup?
I don't know. We got to have a whole Ryder Cup
Debrief
on episode on this.
Why is it that America, we just can't seem to win the Ryder Cup?
Great questions for that podcast.
God.
All right, let's see. Run of show. I think as a wrap up on TGL, it is a crazy league. It's coming up season 2, December 28th. It's gonna be running throughout the off season. It is a new product. It fills, I think, some gaps. It does approach different demographics, just like YouTube approaches different demographics. Will it survive? In what form will it survive? We got some hot takes here that we're going to track as we keep going, but let's tune in and see what happens there. We already kind of covered PGA and LIV money wars, but let's put like a finer point on that. Obviously, PGA Tour, we said lost 440 million. LIV lost 1.1 billion.
It's 2021, and that's only their UK filings. The PIF to date has invested about 4.9 billion.
Saudi, we all know the Saudi royal family is behind some of the most controversial acts that have ever happened in history. So by investing into LIV, into some of these other things that they're doing right now, they are trying to make their own brand come back and be a good standing around the world. And if everybody follows winners, we all will give them a pass at the end of the day.
I don't think anyone really cares, and I think that I think it's on full display right now.
Mhm.
And that's not a political point. That's just like, I just don't think anyone cares. If there's a compelling product and there's compelling golfers, look at Bryson. I mean, people are going to watch Bryson DeChambeau because he's Bryson DeChambeau.
Do people care? I think some people care, but at the end of the day, like, they're going to watch probably. If they like it. I mean, the viewership doesn't really show that they're watching. That's the problem.
We see this in every sport. If you're a winner, people will forgive almost any heinous act that somebody can do. Unfortunately,
people forget Tiger.
But this is in football. This is in basketball. This is in every single sport. If you're a winner, we'll forgive you.
All right. So real quick, just 2 things you like, 2 things you hate about LIV?
There's an entertainment side that I like. I like when they're playing the music, the atmosphere is better. I think that, again, when we go back and we see the old guards of the PGA Tour, they seem to hate the waste management in a lot of ways. But the waste management's one of the most fun tournaments to watch a year. The caddy run when they're running up on that one, is that number 16 as well at waste management? So much fun. And then the powers that be try to stop that last year because they thought it was too inappropriate for the sport. That was one of the most fun things to watch for the caddies.
We're talking about LIV. One, Bryson, and Bryson's like rehabilitation of his own image, character. And I think, there's some bright spot in what is based on ratings and losses, et cetera, a dumpster fire, right? I mean, you can't argue that LIV Adelaide is an incredible thing for Australian golf. It is better attended. I watched some of the Australian Open this past weekend, it's actually going on right now. I think not this past weekend. LIV Adelaide is better attended than the Australian Open has been. And it looks like a really fun, speaking of the Phoenix Open, it looks like a really fun atmosphere. I think that there are some bright spots in that. And I think that it is undeniably more global in nature than the PGA Tour is. Yeah, there's the DP World or the Asian Tour and whatnot. But the PGA Tour as it stands is 97.5% American golf, like focused on the United States.
Yeah, the venues, when we go to an event, it's because we live in the United States. Other people have to fly halfway across the world to attend these events. I get that. It fills a gap.
LIV, definitely. LIV parachutes in and it's, we are coming to your city. This is LIV Adelaide. This is LIV UK when they open it up at that course outside London. I think it's Centurion Club. They are globalizing the game.
But the credibility of the ranking implications, I still can't get over, and I wanna see those players be able to play against the best players in the world because, again, we've already said we've got Brooks Koepka, Bryson DeChambeau. I think it is a huge disservice to all golf fans out there that we can't have Bryson come in and still play on the PGA Tour in certain events.
Now, back to this real quick. He mentioned like the Australia Adelaide event. It has been touted as one of their best so far, right? Rory being like the biggest proponent against it. If you ever want to catch up on this whole thing, just watch Full Swing, like season 1, 2, 3. Like it's a great way to see the evolution of people's vision on, or the players' opinions, like the whole story arcs with this whole thing. But anyway, he was terribly against this. He was sitting on the players board for the PGA Tour at the time and
Their advisory
council. Yeah. Anyway, he recently came out and said, "I think what LIV has done here in Australia has been amazing in a country that has sort of been starved of big time golf events." And that goes to what you're saying, Patrick. Like right on. He even sees that there is gaps in the golf business. There's gaps that can serve other audiences, just like YouTube is serving other audiences, and potentially TGL is potentially serving some of the same YouTube audiences. You know, and honestly, I think LIV, they don't have to do the whole party atmosphere.
Oh, if they could figure out a way to crack South Korea, Japan, two golf crazy countries, that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Pacific Rim is so many eyeballs, and frankly, it's a bigger audience than here in America. If I were LIV, I would go and dominate the Pacific Rim and make that your hotbed that you get all of your audience from, and then worry about America secondarily.
You know, I think that they do not need to have the party atmosphere if they're serving those different audiences by going to these different underserved, you know, demanded areas. I think that the party atmosphere probably pulls the product down in the eyes of many, many golfers. The positive part is that they've embraced some of these like YouTube golf elements because they need to. They actually were forced to. They were forced to invent their tour against because they had challenges of survival. They were spending too much money. You know, they said, how do we bring people to our brand? And they recognized the way to do that. You know, and they did those live duels, which was a really interesting thing to watch. It also brought in like legitimate famous players, major winners that are just hanging out with a YouTube guy trying to win 250 grand. So there's real stakes, and it was fun. Like another piece that Rory said on that was, quote, golf needs to be relevant more than 4 times a year. That means he's not saying like, not just majors, you know what I mean? The 4 majors, it's like, that's when all the best players get together, and LIV sort of stretched that out, pulled that away. A lot of people hate that. You know, that's my second thing about what I really just can't get on board with LIV is that divisiveness that it's created. You know, whether LIV is actually growing the game or not, the conversation is growing.
Yeah, I kinda look at it as that LIV and PGA Tour have been bickering for so long, I'm just frankly over it and tired of it, and I don't even watch either one of them unless it's a major. Frankly, I've switched most of my viewership because at the end of the day, we're all only have a limited amount of time that we can watch all and consume all of these various outlets that are coming in. YouTube Golf is just it's fun, it's engaging, it's easy to watch. These guys always have, a battle going on, there's drama there, but the bitterness isn't there that, again, we're seeing from the PGA Tour and LIV.
YouTube golf is here. I think it's here to stay, right? Like there's no, it fits the audience. You know, it doesn't cost anything. It's not going to be essentially losing money like PGA Tour and LIV.
I can play it in the background when I'm at home working, I can watch it and be engaged with it, and you look at these guys like Bryson break 50, always entertaining. He brought Trump out, he brought, um
Yeah, that video, 15 million views.
He brought Phil Mickelson out, and who was the one that Steph Curry? Steph Curry. Oh my gosh, talk about a guy who can strike the ball just as good as anybody that's on tour. He outplayed Bryson DeChambeau in a break 50.
He showed up that day, that's for sure. Is it probably like a +2 or something? Now, to be fair, the difference between like a scratch and +2 and a tour pro is like they're like +7.
Oh yeah, these guys, it's 9 day.
To have a chance of qualifying for just the US Open as any player, period, you not only have to be like mentally wildly tough in tournament conditions, but the minimum is +5 handicap. So,
To be a cross sport athlete, would we say that Steph Curry's the best golfer to come from that's not his primary sport? You've got
from the
Tony
NBA,
Romo.
yeah, for sure from the NBA.
Yeah.
Romo probably would be NFL.
Charles Barkley would be up there.
Look, of the three of us, I know I watched the least amount of YouTube golf. I think the only end-to-end YouTube golf production that I have watched actually was the Bryson and Trump video for the Breaking 50. But even just kind of prepping for this episode, I was blown away at some of the stuff that I was reading and learning about it. I mean, just having it on in the background here, hell, it's entertaining. I can look up and
Yes, again, it's
zone out for watch Fat Perez duck hook one, from 150 out. And it's like, oh, that was cool. Next.
but you're getting twice as many views again on some of these YouTube videos as you are than the Masters for the PGA Tour. And I understand it's not a direct one-to-one comparison, but
What stuff's evergreen?
the viewership is unbelievable.
It's evergreen. In a way that run-of-the-mill PGA golf tournaments, which I confess I will turn on and have in the background on any given old work day when it's in season. But I mean, I'm not going to go back, and there's not a world where I go back and watch last year's Farmers Insurance Open.
If I'm really tired, I might put it on.
I would
because
throw
it's
on the
put-
Bryson and
put me to
Trump
sleep
video.
right away. Oh yeah.
Now, let me highlight that because it's very interesting. We talked about the numbers and what they mean or don't mean on losses for PGA Tour and LIV, but also, when you're looking at viewership numbers and comparing like TGL and ESPN live numbers or the PGA Tour live numbers to evergreen content that sits there and accumulates views over a period of time. That's why when I read this, I said in the first 30 days, the Internet Invitational did a certain number of views. But that's still 30 days. It wasn't one night, right? One night, what was the viewership?
Play reasonable to handicap it in some way like that.
Yeah.
You have to if you're going to try to make any kind of apples to.
There's some for Data Golf. If you guys are super golf nuts, you've been on Data Golf, you've looked at people's stats, I'm sure. So Data Golf could probably build a model that would say, okay, what is an equivalent viewership, impact? And I don't know how you'd have to weight that because it would be some complex math to try to put it on level playing field. When you get people to tune in all at once, right? Back in the day, YouTube didn't exist, right? Way back in the day. Internet was limited. We all tuned in to the same show in Eastern time, in Central time, in Pacific time, whatever TV show we were watching. Obviously, the internet completely changed that. You got Netflix and all this stuff, and it's changing the way we're consuming content, which is also changing the viewership style and the demographics that are consuming the content. And yeah, I put on the Trump one, I'll put on this Bob Does Sports one. I'm sitting there, and I'll pay attention to maybe a couple minutes at a time. And then maybe in the background, I'm listening and I catch something funny, but I'm not like zoned in. Like Sunday at the Masters, I was zoned in, man. That was the most electrifying thing all year, period.
So, back in the day, I used to host Lost watching parties. So my friends and I would come over. We'd sit there and watch it once a week. But you always had this anticipation of it coming out and then all being able to watch it together and talk about it afterwards. Are we dumbing down entertainment today by the fact that we can tune in whenever we want, which does mean, and I can fast forward through the video as much as I want. I can pause it. I can leave. So does that take away some of that anticipation again to the point that now we don't respect it as much as we used to?
I don't think it takes it away, but it takes away one key element, which we've lost a lot, period. It's the community, the person to person engagement that you get. And I think that's part of why people love YouTube golf, because it is person-to-person engagement. It's like you're there with the guys, like you were out there with the guys. You're going to go do it this weekend, and you wish you were doing it 4 or 5 times a week, but you can't, right? Work, whatever. And we're missing that. Your lost parties brought people together at the same time to experience something together, right? And that's the PGA Tour is losing some of those numbers probably on live performances, and so is TGL, because they're coming live. Everybody has to tune in at the same day, and just the knowledge that I could record it, that I can watch it later, that I don't need to be there in the moment unless it's Sunday at the Masters, and I want to be just a little part of history when I'm telling my son I watched Rory complete the Grand Slam. Those are moments where, yeah, you're drawn towards something to watch it together, experience it as a community.
Look, I think in the same way that YouTube golf is evergreen, those kinds of moments, I mean, that's not even a golf specific, major champion specific thing. They're just big moments in sports are always going to be evergreen, I think. And they're always going to have that pull that you want to invite your buddies over to go somewhere, watch the Game 7 of the World Series together, or watch Rory try to break the Grand Slam finally. I think that's that's why people love sports.
Yeah.
I've watched more of the replay from the good guys when they hit maybe the 4 best shots on a scramble in history of golf, when Bubby Goff ends up hitting the hole-in-one from 320 yards out, whatever it was, but all 4 guys put it within 12 feet of the hole, all 4 shots, and
Oh,
Garrett
this was
even
like a while back.
yeah, like 2 or 3 years ago, and Garrett even called it right before we hit it. He was like, "Oh my gosh, I feel like one of us is
One of
about to
those
hit a
went
hole
in?
in one," and one of them went in. I've rewatched that probably 30 times, even though I know what's going to happen. There are so few golf shots in my life. We can look back at Payne Stewart. We all know the shot that he hit on 18 coming in at Pinehurst number 2. We all know Tiger Woods. We all know the one that Bubba hits it around the tree in the
Dude, we recently reposted the Tiger shot, and he's on camera. We reposted on our Instagram. He's on camera saying, "This is the best shot I've ever made. It was the most pure contact I've ever felt." And it was
Is that at the RBC?
no,
No,
it was
fairway bunker?
out of the bunker.
it was out of the bunker with that tiny fairway wood that he played, that PT type thing.
1913.
Out of the
Carried the
bunker,
water, nails
over
it on the green.
trees,
Oh, yeah.
just unbelievable. I mean, he's swinging out of his shoes. His stance is like awkward, and he says it's the best,
Puts
purest
it on the
contact
back
I've
fringe of
ever
the
had.
green, but yeah, saved himself, part of
Goes
that.
on to win, of course, in Tiger fashion.
God, that's what he did for so long. The game of golf has been searching for the new Tiger Woods for so long, and unfortunately, like, PGA Tour has gone all in on a Roy McIlroy, which frankly, I just don't think that Roy's the guy. He doesn't have the personality to be able to carry the
He's more
PGA Tour.
controversial of a figure. There, the Tiger talk is going to be big here in a second, but will we ever see something like that? You got to look at other sports and see if there's precedent.
Everybody always
you
says
look
they
at
need Michael Jordan, and I hate that we try to compare. Why can't you just be the Nets? LeBron James be LeBron James. Last night he just ended 1,200.
What's more of our construct than LeBron's, though, in fairness to him?
Well, yeah, because the media has to try to create this dramatized hype to bring viewership into.
well, it's narrative, it's entertainment. That's what we tune in for.
Yeah, but the dramatized hype is exhausting. And last night, LeBron James, for the first time in 1,247 games, I believe was the number, doesn't hit double digits in points for the first time in his career.
Who's the greatest quarterback of all time? Who's the greatest soccer player of all time?
But they interviewed LeBron James afterwards.
Was it Peyton? Was it Tom?
No, I'm a huge Peyton Manning fan and a Vol fan, but it's Brady. It's not. It's undisputed.
Okay.
Peyton Manning's the greatest regular season quarterback of all time.
Interesting.
Yeah.
In a future episode, I'm going to cover a deep numbers-based research that we did on who's the greatest golfer of all time, and there are some shakeups in there.
But we never got to see Bobby Jones. And in the peak of his career, a guy goes and fights for a country in World War II, comes back 4 years later, then gets in a car accident. You've got some of these guys that were
Hogan.
so good. Sorry, Hogan, not Bobby Jones. I messed up there, but Hogan could have been statistically one of the greatest golfers ever played, but because we didn't get to see him and we can't pull up on YouTube watching him play, nobody cares.
Well, it makes it difficult, but of all of these debates in all of these sports, Tiger stands in such a wide margin, especially during that 2000 season.
Tiger Slam, right? That's
I mean-
another great book, The Tiger Slam.
Yeah, so good.
Scotty statistically had a better season than Tiger did last year.
It's much less of a debate than any other sport. Save it for the
that,
next.
yeah.
All right, so look,
YouTube
A hot take?
on the YouTube golf piece, I'm excited to see what's happening. We're definitely investing in this. We're going to keep talking about this episode after episode. You know, it's relevant to us. I think it's relevant to you guys. It's relevant to the sport. You know, what they're going to do is going to be the question. I mean, there's a lot of crossovers between the channels. Who's the best? Who's the most watched? Who's fallen off? Who's coming up? You know, we're gonna get into what we like, what we don't in some of these future episodes. All right, next thing on the topics list, let's put a button on the Tiger and the Champions Tour. Is he going to come back to golf? To what level? We have people thinking that he's probably not.
He did try until he can't walk to play in the major.
He always, at the end of the day, Tiger always brings viewership, but at the same time, at what point do we just stop caring? Because he's not relevant.
All right, will the Champions Tour, if he comes back, right? Will the Champions Tour get a bump? Obviously, I think is a yes.
Absolutely will get a bump. But what if he goes out in the Champions Tour and he doesn't even make the cut?
In what world?
In the world that he's had 37 surgeries in the last 4 years, the guy can't even finish a weekend golf with his son when they pay in the father-son.
Look, you know, this is one of those situations where sports is very funny to me. We talked about this a while back. It's, you know, we know every surgery he's had and if he's got a mole on his back left cheek. But I feel like we would have heard if he was at this point, based on that information, right? We would have heard if he's just going to be out of commission. Right now, all we're hearing is big rumblings about a sponsorship, that Champions Tour is on the table. He's coming back to TGL. You know, there's images of him out there playing, practicing, running like multiple rounds. I want to say I'm going to take the opposite approach of what Patrick said earlier. I think he's going to be at the majority of the TGL events, not only because he's invested, but because he's a competitor, right? I think he's maybe going to hit the Champions Tour a couple of times.
You think it'll happen this year?
All right, over under
Possibly.
for you guys. 8 tournaments for Tiger Woods for 2026. That includes TGL, that includes Champions, and that includes PGA. Over under.
For 26. I think 0 TGL events. I mean,
that's 5 right there.
he's trying everything in what is left of his body. I mean, God knows he's got willpower, but he's focused on the Masters. He always has been. He has been since the car wreck. So if TGL isn't geared for him towards playing in the Masters, he's not going to do it.
If
Allegedly.
Bernhard Langer and some of these guys are still, you know, it was his last Masters, last one, right? Him and Couples.
Yeah.
Um,
Definitely Bernhard's.
Couples might come back. Okay. Yeah. I mean, look, those guys are, the age gap between Tiger and those guys is there. It's significant. Maybe they're in better shape for sure, physically, surgery wise, but man, you're going to milk that Masters invite for as long as they'll let him tee off.
So the same thing about the Open at St. Andrews, right? I mean, he's going to play that. Like, he so desperately wants to break Jack's record, but
yeah.
Do y'all remember though, years ago, Tiger did an interview and he said, I'll stop playing in these majors when I know I don't have a chance. And I know it, Father Time's undefeated, guys. At what point do you just,
Phil won at 46 years old. I was on the green that time.
yeah, but he could
won
walk.
51. No, 46 was the previous oldest, right? Yeah.
it was Tiger at the Masters.
He's
Tiger was the
51.
oldest. Tiger was the oldest
Really?
champion, and then Phil broke it.
In Tiger's, no, I'm sorry, he's 50 at the end of December.
Tiger's 50 this month, yeah. Because they sort of quasi-reconciled after Phil won the PGA. Reconciled as much as those two will. Right? Tiger tweeted, like, congrats, Phil Mickelson, on becoming the new oldest major champion.
Phil, okay, here we go. Actually, not quite.
Ooh, fact check.
Yeah, we will always have these laptops out looking up random stuff. All right, so Phil 50 years, 11 months, 7 days. Julius Boros in 1968, 48 years old, won the PGA Championship. Old Tom Morris, if you really are a golf fan, you'll know who he is and how
St. Andrews.
that is quite a story. Him and his son, if you want to dig into that. 46 years old, 99 days, the 1867 Open Championship. Jack Nicklaus, 46 years old, 82 days, so a bunch in 46. 1986 Masters. Jerry Barber, 45 years, 3 months, 6 days, the 1961 PGA. Hale Irwin, 1990 US Open. Harry Vardon, 1907 Open Championship at 44 years old. Tiger's not even on that list. He's not even in the top 10 oldest to win a major.
How old was Tiger in the 2019 Masters?
Let's find out.
Maybe those are modern era stats.
43. Legitimately, the 10th was 44 and 8 months. Lee Trevino. You're looking at Phil currently being the master of longevity. You know, I think you could be looking at an Adam Scott. You could be looking at a Justin Rose at this
I think
phase.
Rosie's got another major.
I mean, the show of these guys, their longevity's been strong. Their speed at their age is strong. But Tiger's another story because of that X factor being physical health.
Yeah,
you know?
the nutrition, the coaches, the recovery that these guys have, it's not comparable. And this is every single sport that are out there. These guys can now play much later in the life than we ever could prior.
That's the thing about majors. It's most majors, the way they set them up, it's a great leveler, right? It's not about how far you hit it. You know, they put these things into course setup that allow it to be the best player who is working their way around the course, knowing the course well, hitting fairways, hitting greens, making putts, what it's all about. Like, can you do that? Can you recover from terrible conditions, you know, deep rough? You know, and some of that comes into strength, but some of it's also knowledge that they get from playing that sport for a long time. Each episode, we're going to try to throw in some hot takes. Josh, you got any hot take questions you want to lead us off with?
Well, I think here I also want to have some audience engagement. So if you guys have any questions moving forward that y'all want us to talk about in these future episodes, write in. Let us talk about it. Let's bring up some.
We'll put it on the docket in the run of show. We'll make sure these things get shine. It is about a community discussion.
Some call-ins.
So this one brings us into a little bit of who we are as players. What's your most like fraudulent, I can hit that shot belief? What's the shot that you believe? You step up every time you're like, yeah, I'm going to cut it around that tree 40 yards, be sitting there for, you know, what is that shot?
Oh, it's the frickin'
that you can't hit.
Hitting a 3-yard window through the trees instead of just punching out in the fairway.
So you're always
Every
going
time.
for it?
Bubba Watson pitching wedge on 18th the Masters in like 2022 or 2023, whichever one that he said was his best shot that he's ever hit at Augusta.
Yeah.
Not to be confused, the big hook on the was it 15, the par 5? Yeah. For me, it's like the one thing I try to tell myself before every round of golf is don't do stupid shit. And time and again, I'm in the woods. I'm like, oh, I can hit that window. PGA pros pitch out, try to save a par, and move on with their life.
Yeah.
275, 3 wood, slightly uphill, water maybe right in front. I still think I got it every time and every single time. Now, the one time I do get it, you better believe that I'm going to tell you that it was into the wind. It was raining that day. I hit the piss out of that ball, but yeah, I still tell myself I've got that shot every time I stand over it.
Yeah, man. Let's see. Like probably 50% of the time I can nail that flop shot. You know, you're short-sighted on the green and you're like, I got to get it tight. I got to save par. You know, 50% of the time I've got it. Like it's there. I've done it even in tournaments. Like it's there. But the other 50% of the time, I'm leaving it short. I'm probably making a bogey because I get pissed at the end of it when I don't make that shot happen. And it's one of those that you're constantly just sitting there going, yeah, just a little open. You know, I've been practicing this. I got it. No big deal. When I should probably either hit it into the bank, let it just get up on that green, try to make an 8-footer, you know, but I'm trying to give myself that guaranteed par like every time. It's just, yeah, that's the one that suckers me in, man. You can either say most overrated or most underrated YouTube golfer that you are aware of. Give us like a little bit of a reason why.
I don't know that I consume enough YouTube golf to be dangerous. I think Bryson is an underrated YouTube golfer.
And he's even YouTube golfer in the world.
Yeah, as the best one. I mean, the skill set for being a good professional, a great professional golfer, and the skill set of being a great YouTube golfer are the greatest at the top 5% in both. That's astounding to me. I don't think he gets enough credit for it.
Fair enough. I will say I think he's known as like the best one right now.
Right.
Right? Not just performance, because obviously he is one of the best players in the world. Outside of that,
Yeah.
like, throw that away.
But it's reinvented his image. You look at the PGA Tour, they made him out to be the heel of the PGA Tour, and then since he's been at LIV and what he's done on YouTube, he has completely
The people's
redone his
golfer
brand
now.
to the point that he's the most popular golfer in the world right now.
And the most underrated, probably most entertaining channel, period, is the Bob Does Sports guys. Like, they're just a little more relatable. They're nice. They're not just like hitting
I
you.
like Matt Perez.
Like, dude, he's great. Joey's hilarious. Like, Bob, period. I'd just watch him. Like, if he was on Sports Center or something, I'd just watch the guy. Not the best players, like, they fit that part of YouTube golf, but like most underrated from an entertainment factor.
I think though, I probably consume the most YouTube golf out of all of us. Who I think I'm gonna start with who's most overrated. Good guys. I just don't get it anymore. They're not entertaining. I think that Garrett's heart hasn't been in it for a while when you watch them play. And I just don't think that the guys get the cohesiveness isn't there the way that it used to be. And they brought in some new players. Now you got guys that are coming up. Brad is an exceptional player. He won what was it NCAA Player of the Year when he was at Oklahoma.
USAM, right? Been a USAM?
I think he was won the NCAA, but he might have won at USAM as well. But either way, he's an exceptional golfer. And I think you're going to have some guys coming out of the good ecosystem that will go on to have great careers, as we've already seen with Grant Horvath and others. Most underrated, though, gosh, I mean, what the Brian Bros and Grant Horvath are putting out in this new Making the Cut episodes are some of the best filmed, put together, best experiences that I see. And I find it to be the most entertaining out there. So what did you find out about Brad? What do you do?
Runner up, actually, 2016. So, I mean, we're talking 10 years ago. As a result, it earned him invitations to major championships such as the Masters. So that's the thing they kept talking about in the Internet Invitational. Oh, the guy that played in the Masters. He's the guy that played in the Masters.
So
He
he
got an
made it.
invite from being runner up at the US Amateur in
And does
2016.
that not show how good these guys are that he's runner-up for USM and yet he's still not even making the tour? So that shows how good these guys are that are on tour.
It's hard to comprehend for like an average golfer, whether you're a 16, to get to a 7, from a 7 to get to a scratch, from a scratch to get to a 2 plus 2, but from a plus 2 to imagine that he's like as good as a tour player, it's even harder because like you can hit a lot of the shots, but like you're not a plus 7. You're not tested in those environments. I mean, there is a separator there that is intangible for most players to really understand that. That's a big deep dive we could go into another time. But yeah, I agree with the good comment. Like that makes sense to me.
Just as an edit.
I'm seeing a lot more crossovers, and that's engaging to me. Even the good guys are doing more crossovers, which is bringing them back into relevancy. And that's what a lot of these channels will do. They'll keep themselves going that way. All right, so hot take. This is one I really wanted to get into. Like, from a gear standpoint, we haven't even touched how much of gearhead each of these guys sitting here is. We're going to get into that in another episode, but the most interesting non-golf club item you've been wanting to get your hands on, like
Arcos rangefinder.
Arcos rangefinder. I haven't even heard of this.
Just what's sitting in my house right now. I haven't played with it yet.
No way. Okay, this is going to be something you're going to bring into one of these episodes. We're going to chat about that.
Yeah.
Going into the off season, we're here in Nashville, Tennessee. It gets cold enough to where you do not want to go out and golf. We've got our home sim set up, and you want to be grinding. You want to keep yourself relevant. For me, it's the hack motion or the sports box 3D, wanting to actually improve your game, while you're in a sim, just beating balls against, this thing. It's not just numbers anymore. It's like, what is your function and are you doing it right? Do you have someone actually helping you? Otherwise, you're just training in the same, like
Bad
Bad
habit.
habit. Yeah, exactly. I think the hack motion is really interesting. Anybody can buy it. It's a little bit pricey, but I have been wanting to get my hands on it. Sits here on your wrist. The other one is, yeah, the Sportsbox 3D. It kind of requires the ability to have a camera on you, and they've, I think, put it together where you can use your phone as the camera, but it's kind of one of those complicated setups. Um, and here actually I've got this Foresight camera for the bay downstairs. Quality is a little low and it's not quite always connecting to their software, but supposedly you can use this or another camera to like capture your image and you can literally track yourself, put yourself next to a pro, see what you need to improve on. Like I think perfect practice makes perfect,
Yeah.
not bad practice. So
I'm all about having fun when I'm out there on the golf course. I want to listen to music. I don't mind if I'm playing in flip flops. If you're having a bad day, you don't have to putt out. You'll be fine. For me, I want to get one of those punching bags that you can attach to the side of the golf cart. And so if you hit a bad shot, you walk up and just punch the punching bag. That's what I want to get.
I've seen this. You can put them on your desk.
$27 on Amazon right now. So
Like I see that thing just flying off of your desk and like holes in the back of your wall, or like you hit it and it just like flies off into the water or something.
yeah, but you get a
your
story
cart.
from it. No matter what, you'll always see that nick in your wall and be like, that one time. So
All right, so we've tossed in all the final predictions for this TGL season. We're going to chat about a little bit of that in episode 2. Quick, what we're watching, tracking, waiting for. Just wrap up what you're reading.
I mean, I read the My Golf Spy email religiously. That's kind of where I get the majority of my equipment knowledge, facts, what's happening in the equipment space. I want to read more about, actually, you brought up old Tom Morris earlier. I want to read more about old Tom Morris. And so I'm looking for a good book on him.
Okay, nice. The thing that I'm doing right now is I actually was reading the Tom Coyne book, his first one. I don't think it's his first one, but a course called Ireland, where he literally treks around Ireland on foot with his golf bag, and I'm reading it with my dad. So we both bought it.
Cool.
We're going back through that together. And he normally reads a lot of these historical, like presidential biographies, and he actually was like, "This is really good. He's a good writer. I'm entertained by this." But yeah, that's what's keeping me busy. I'm almost done. I think I'm on like chapter 20.
gosh, yeah. If I'm trying to keep up on the newest equipment coming out, guys, I'm still Rick Shields. Give me his videos. Let me watch how he's hitting it. I feel like my distances are pretty similar to him. I keep it pretty simple. So podcast, YouTube, and then can't wait to just get back out there. It's too cold, unfortunately, to go play right now. So
Yeah, that sucks. There will be posts on our Instagram, probably about our seasonal golf depression. All right. So thanks for tuning in. Like, subscribe, whether you're watching this on YouTube.
give us some comments. Yeah, give us some questions that we can talk about next episode.
So we got it on YouTube, Apple, Spotify. We're working on a little feature for everyone on the website. If you guys want to head over there, it will be a member clubhouse. We're going to be engaging in a lot of giveaways. This is how we're going to be able to track who's eligible for the giveaways. So keep an eye out for that. We'll be announcing that stuff as we come. Tune in next time. See you then.